Martin Luther was a German theologian and religious reformer who played a key role in the Protestant Reformation. Born on November 10, 1483, in Allover, Germany, Luther is best known for his 95 Theses, a document that challenged the teachings of the Catholic Church and sparked a religious movement that changed the course of Western history. Early life and education. Martin Luther was born to Hans and Margarete Luther in Allover, a small town in Saxony, Germany. His father was a successful copper miner, and the family was reasonably well off. Luther was the eldest of 6 children and was initially destined for a career in law. However, he decided to become a monk and entered the Augustinian monastery in Erfurt at the age of 22. At the monastery, Luther immersed himself in the study of theology, philosophy, and the scriptures. He was deeply influenced by the writings of Augustine and believed that faith and salvation could only be achieved through God's grace, rather than through good works or the sacraments of the Church. In 1507, Luther was ordained as a priest and was appointed to teach theology at the University of Wittenberg. It was during this time that he began to develop his ideas about the Church and the role of the Bible in Christian life. Challenges to the Catholic Church. In 1517, Pope Leo X issued a decree authorizing the sale of indulgences, which were certificates that granted forgiveness of sins and reduced the time that a person would have to spend in purgatory after death. This practice was widely criticized for being a form of corruption and exploitation of the poor, and it was seen by many as a way for the Church to raise money. On October 31, 1517, Luther posted his 95 Theses on the door of the Castle Church in Wittenberg. The document was a public challenge to the authority of the Catholic Church and called for a debate on the selling of indulgences. Luther's ideas spread quickly throughout Germany and sparked a movement for religious reform. In 1520, Luther published 3 works that further challenged the teachings of the Catholic Church. The first, called The Address to the Christian Nobility of the German Nation, argued that the Church's power and authority needed to be reformed. The second, called The Babylonian Captivity of the Church, challenged the Catholic doctrine of the sacraments. The third, called The Freedom of a Christian, argued that salvation could be achieved through faith alone, rather than through good works or the sacraments. Excommunication and the Diet of Worms. Luther's teachings were met with fierce resistance from the Catholic Church, which viewed him as a heretic. In 1521, Pope Leo X excommunicated Luther and ordered that he be arrested and brought to Rome to stand trial. Luther was summoned to appear before the Diet of Worms, an assembly of the Holy Roman Empire, to answer charges of heresy. He refused to recant his beliefs and declared that his conscience was bound to the Word of God, as revealed in the Scriptures. He famously said, "Here I stand, I can do no other, God help me." Despite the risk to his life, Luther's defiance sparked a revolution in religious thought and practice. The Diet of Worms failed to reach a consensus, and Luther was allowed to return to Wittenberg, where he continued to preach and write. Lutheranism and the Protestant Reformation. Luther's teachings inspired a movement for religious reform that came to be known as the Protestant Reformation. His followers, known as Lutherans, rejected the authority of the Catholic Church and established their own churches, which were